mais qui est présent par vidéo. Monsieur Michael Ajay, International Business Development, with Orama Corporate Services in Mauritius. He's born in Ghana and a resident of Mauritius, and he's a staunch Pan-Africanist. Michael believes that for Africa to realize its full potentials, we must go back to reuniting ourselves as one people with a common agenda. He is very instrumental in developing businesses from startups to IPOs. Globally has a diverse background and experience in working with several international renowned companies. I suggest we listen to Michael's video.
First of all, I want to say a big thank you to Newscom Africa Holdings for hosting the Africa 21 Forum and for granting me the opportunity to join this panel and for holding the visions of His Majesty King Mohammed VI of Morocco for a resilient and sovereign water, energy, and food security in Africa. Also, a great thanks to Orama Corporate Services, the best Pan-African management company in Mauritius, especially Kessina Chengandu, the CEO, for aligning her visions with the progress of Africa and empowering me to represent Mauritius on this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols are duly observed. Thank you. To begin with, poor leadership is undoubtedly at the forefront of Africa's challenges, and I state emphatically, to answer the question, we must first look at some of the challenges hindering sustainable business growth and development in Africa. To list but a few: energy deficits, access to capital, ease of doing business, high lending rates, a conducive environment for sustainable business growth, education, travel restrictions, unpredictable government policies on foreign exchange control, compliance with international regulatory standards, investor protection, conflict and wars amongst ourselves, security, and most importantly and currently, the narrative that opposes the progress of Africa and the fundamental struggles of our forefathers. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the World Bank's Doing Business 2020 fact sheet, it revealed that while some significant progress had been made to improve the climate for business across Africa, further improvement is needed and at a faster pace if the continent is to close the gap and realize its potential. There were no African states, sadly, in the top 10 of the report, and only two, Mauritius at number 13 and Rwanda at number 38 in the top 50. Mauritius came out number 1 in the whole of Africa, and for that reason, let's look at some of the best practices that Mauritius is utilizing to enhance the progress of the country and Africa as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, Mauritius offers a compliant and reliable platform for doing business, notably acclaimed for its business-friendly and investment-friendly jurisdiction. It offers investors a conducive environment for doing business, which guarantees predictability, certainty, and security. Credit goes to the Economic Development Board of Mauritius, ladies and gentlemen, the National Investment Promotion Agency of the Government of Mauritius, mandated to promote and facilitate investment in the country. They came up with a number of strategic, collaborative, innovative, and pragmatic measures and policies that propelled Mauritius to be among the top 20 countries in the world for ease of doing business, and has over the years consolidated its leadership position in sub-Saharan Africa with the first position. This acknowledgement by the World Bank confirms that Mauritius remains a competitive and attractive jurisdiction for the international investors community. But how? With an array of network agreements comprising several investment promotion and protection agreements, which offers an excellent protection for foreign business owners, and double taxation avoidance agreements with African and international states that gives global investors, traders, and private equity companies a preferential access to a number of key African markets and several hundreds of millions of customers. Ladies and gentlemen, although very small enterprises and small-medium enterprises represent more than 90% of businesses and employ nearly 2/3 of workers in Africa, very few are sustainable enough to make it through from startups to public offerings and generate an annual revenue of $1 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, the National SME Incubator Scheme, the NSIS, for example, is a scheme initiated by the government of the Republic of Mauritius to encourage the creation of innovative businesses for the socio-economic benefit of the Republic of Mauritius through a nurturing and training process in a conducive environment provided by incubators, from ideas through to first plan and to the acceleration of growth of the startups. Ladies and gentlemen, Mauritius is also a fully collaborative and responsible international financial center that has taken significant steps to adhere to international best practices. It is a member of the Early Adopters Group committed to the early implementation of the Common Reporting Standard on the automatic exchange of financial account information, while the OECD Global Forum has rated Mauritius as a largely compliant jurisdiction, a rating which equals that obtained by developed economies such as the US and the UK and Germany. It was the first African country to sign up to an intergovernmental agreement with the US for the implementation of the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, and has joined the OECD's inclusive framework to implement the base erosion and profit shifting recommendations and the new initiative on exchange of beneficial ownership information. Ladies and gentlemen, another big credit goes to the Financial Service Commission of Mauritius, the FSC, one of the most robust and rigorous financial regulatory systems and body in Africa. They managed to garner and boost investor confidence through a number of measures, which has eventually attracted strong and internationally recognized banks and other financial institutions, and subsequently developed a strong banking infrastructure in the region with very low lending rates, simple and attractive tax system, and no foreign exchange control policies. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Capital Economic Reports, for example, foreign direct investments to the tune of $80 billion into mainland Africa is mediated by Mauritius, creating 4.2 million jobs on the continent. Being the most compliant country and the #1 in Africa in meeting all of the Financial Action Task Force recommendations, Mauritius supports other African countries to access the necessary capital to finance investment by reducing both the risk and cost associated with cross-border dealings. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence of good governance and leadership in Mauritius cannot be overemphasized, which is why Mauritius is a beacon of political, social, and economic stability in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of free movement and travel restrictions, Mauritius again stands out. And thanks to the passport control and immigration authorities of Mauritius, it opens its borders to nearly every country in the world with a visa on arrival policy and no visa application fees, including African countries. Tourists all over the world are able to visit this beautiful island nation, build networks, and explore business opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is alarming to learn, according to the World Economic Forum, that Africa currently accounts for just 2% of global trade and only about 17% of African trade are intracontinental, compared with 59% of Asia and 68% of Europe. African leaders and relative institutions must begin to ask ourselves imminent and critical questions. We must begin to ask ourselves honest questions. With our borders still closed to our own people and knowing the humongous benefits of intra-African trade and the series of infrastructural development it brings, are we really serious for the progress, and what kind of disadvantage, disservice, and legacy are we leaving for the next generation to inherit in this competitive world that we are in? Why Africa? There has been great initiatives like the African Union's Agenda for 2063, the African Continental Free Trade Area on the elimination of trade tariffs, excellent and beautiful, but on paper. It will take more than just writing and talking to realize the agenda and to realize it quickly. Many agreements have been signed and pending ratification, but when? The intentions and the hastiness of the leaders formulating these policies with Africans in mind as the first priority is very key. Ladies and gentlemen, African leaders need to put Africans first when formulating policies. If you look at some of the policies initiated in some of the immigration institutions in Africa, for example, it's a joke. It's obvious that it is designed to favor other nationals from other continents than Africans themselves. And the same can be said for other sectors. Yet, we sit and talk every day about pragmatic measures to enhance Africa's development. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems to me that Pan-Africanism has become a romantic, sentimental idea that we debate rather than action via patriotism. Ladies and gentlemen, many Africans today prefer to abandon their continent to look for greener pastures overseas, which is causing a significant brain drain on the continent. The wealthy are also shoring their finances and investment in foreign banks in other continents, further enriching them with resources to further develop their nations while depriving our own African international financial centers. Mauritius, for example, is an African nation and an equally competitive jurisdiction compared to several other international financial centers. Ladies and gentlemen, the narrative must change. The solutions to the mistreatment of Africans as second-class citizens are in the hands of Africans. We must tell our own stories. We as Africans are responsible for creating an Africa that is politically stable, intellectually empowered, and socio-economically integrated. A stable continent that presents real growth and opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, once we start taking ourselves seriously, the world will follow. Thank you.
Thank you for Michael's intervention, which is putting forward the necessity to build Africa by Africans and how Mauritius can contribute to structuring and ensuring its example for the other places around the continent. J'aimerais passer la parole maintenant à Ernest César d'Oliveira, président de l'African Business Club. Alors, Ernest est senior consultant également en stratégie et opération au sein du cabinet Deloitte. Il intervient auprès des institutions publiques sur les sujets de transformation des organisations, de villes et de territoires intelligents. Engagé sur les sujets de développement du secteur privé sur le continent africain, il porte des sujets d'innovation, d'entrepreneuriat, l'attractivité des talents et la mobilité Europe-Afrique via le forum Africa Mobility Innovation Days. Ernest est diplômé en macroéconomie de Panthéon-Assas Université. Ernest, si je peux peut-être introduire le propos que tu vas avoir, sur base de ton expérience et de ton regard de la gestion des talents